Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, and welcome back to the Youth Wednesday show here on Tobago Updates. Now, viewers, for this segment, we will be diving into the political arena to discuss everything that's been happening in the Tobago space thus far. And joining us this morning is someone who is no stranger to us here on Tobago Updates, and furthermore, no stranger to us here in Tobago, none other than the Honorable Senator Laurence Hislop. A special morning to you, Senator. How are you doing?
Morning. How are you doing, Luke?
I'm doing excellent.
I am doing well. Bit tired, but that's part of the course, as they say. But I'm doing well nonetheless.
And I don't think the rain is going to help with the tiredness. You know, this is weather to be wrapped up sleeping.
Not when there's work to do, my brother. Not when there's work to do.
Understood, Senator.
Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It's good to be here.
All right. So, Senator, the last time we spoke, one of the questions that was raised is why Rowley wants to call elections in Tobago when there's still the local elections to be dealt with. And I think all eyes will be on Rowley today as he make an announcement regarding that whole drama with the local elections. What are your thoughts when it comes to the local elections in Trinidad?
Well, as I said the last time I was here, that the Prime Minister, I know, is not afraid of any elections, and I know the country is waiting with bated breath to hear his statements today. According to the Attorney General yesterday in the Senate, the Prime Minister will address the issue as it relates to local government elections today and the issues that surrounded the Privy Council ruling. So let's wait to see what the Prime Minister will do. As I said, I have no fear, no worry that the Prime Minister isn't afraid of elections, and the elections will be called at the right time.
But Senator, don't you think that there should be some level of fear regarding everything that's going on in Trinidad? You know, we have the issue with crime, we have the issue with infrastructure, the roads, unemployment still needs to be addressed. There are so many issues that are plaguing Trinidad, yet we are yet to see them being rectified, and these are all issues that are happening under the current PNM administration in Trinidad. So don't you think there should be some level of fear regarding everything that's going on with the economy in Trinidad?
No, well,
Good morning.
I don't know. I don't think fear is the correct word. That is politics. Politics is you have governance and you have politics, and the reality is elections are part of the political system. And if you look at the Prime Minister's track record, you look at the PNM's track record, the PNM nor the Prime Minister has been afraid to call elections or to contest an election.
Okay.
And so I'm not going to even use that as or put that as part of the story. Fear, there's no fear. You deal with issues as they come when you are in governance, and crime and infrastructure and all of these things are part of the governance structure. And so you deal with it when it comes, and when the elections come, you deal with elections. You fight your elections, and somebody must win, somebody must lose.
Understood, Senator. So I'm going to hand you over to Dwayne now.
Right.
Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Morning, Dwayne. How are you doing?
Good, man. Like the color shoot, man.
Thank you very much.
You know, so my question to you is regarding the Privy Council ruling and what is happening as they might say about the delay in the local government elections in Trinidad. Do you think that the Prime Minister is using this as an excuse, you know, to delay what is the inevitable? Yes, I hear you on the fact that, you know, there is no fear and an election is imminent and all them kind of things. However, you know, who really does fear an election? Because, I mean, look at what happened in Tobago recently in 2021 and in 2010 when the then PNM Prime Minister Mr. Patrick Manning called the election and the results. Are you saying all that to say that we should not fear the result? The Prime Minister does not fear the result of what would happen if he does call the election.
No, but if you in politics, you understand that the results of an election are inevitable. whether you win or whether you lose, the results are inevitable. Right. So I don't want to go down that road wondering whether the Prime Minister is afraid. You should ask the Prime Minister that question. But I'm not in the Prime Minister's head, and I can tell you, based on his track record, he has no fear of any elections at all. The people, and that's the part of politics and elections. The people decide, and the people judge you based on the work you've done, and also based on what the other entity, the other party is seeking to promote. And so why I don't understand why we want to drill down on whether he's afraid to call an election or not. Remember we took a local government bill, a local government reform legislation to Parliament that was passed, increasing the term of office of councillors to 4 years, and the cabinet, in their wisdom, saw the need to extend the life of the existing councillors or the existing corporations so as to give the government additional time with the necessary reforms that have to take place at local government.
All right.
And so the Privy Council made a ruling, and that's what the courts are for as well. If an individual, if a citizen feels aggrieved about something, they go through the courts, and the courts take a decision, or highest court is the Privy Council. They took a decision, and the government and the country has to live with the decision that was taken, the ruling that was given by the Privy Council. And so I don't want to keep spinning back to that issue about whether the Prime Minister is afraid of calling elections. I can tell you he's not. And let's wait to hear what he says today, and then we go from there. And the reality is the only party, and we keep saying this, and sometimes people think that it is arrogant and that we're bragging, but it's just the reality of it. The only party that has contested every election in Trinidad and Tobago and contested every seat in an election in Trinidad and Tobago is the People's National Movement. And so when we're talking about being afraid of elections, and there are other entities who call themselves national parties who for one reason or another never field candidates in particular seats. And those are the people you should be asking if they are afraid of particular seats, particular electorates. Those are the people you should be asking, not the People's National Movement, because we've proven time and time again, when it comes to elections, when elections are called, the People's National Movement fields candidates in every election and in every electoral district and constituency.
All right, Senator, and we have this term within our youth space where we like to say read the room. Mm-hmm. The older folks will say the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And, the reality is no matter what we discuss in this interview, we have to address the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. So before I get into that, let's take a step back to last election. Now, last election, for the 2021 THA elections, during the campaign period, a recording was released with a voice appearing to be that of Franca Cordner, where she made certain statements. And, it was plastered all over the media, mm-hmm. And it was out there. Now, yesterday, the Tobago space would have heard a recording with voices appearing to be that of Chief Secretary Fali Augustine and that of Secretary for Education, Ms. Zorisha Hackett, where they seem to be strategizing plans in which they would employ people in the THA 84 in exchange for spreading propaganda on the medias, via it be through mediums such as their personal accounts or fake accounts. Mm-hmm. We really need to get your thoughts on that recording. If you heard the recording, what are your thoughts on that recording?
Well, I heard the recording. Mm-hmm. If the recording is indeed true, it's a bad direction mm-hmm. for our politics. But truth be told, I await a response mm-hmm. from the alleged or the two individuals who we believe the voices to be. I await a response from them. I await, and I think the island and the country deserves a response. I don't think that if the Chief Secretary and the Secretary for Education remain silent, if they believe that it will go away, it is worrying that that was the strategy or remains the strategy, because it sends a bad signal that you can spread propaganda, you could spread untruths, innuendos, downright lies in some regard, in exchange for a job, in exchange, your payment for doing that is a job, whether you're qualified or not for the job. And so I think that there is the onus now is on the two individuals. We believe that the two voices, we recognize the two voices to be the voice of the Chief Secretary and the Secretary of Education. And so it is their responsibility to come to Tobago, to come to the country, to see whether or not it is them and whether or not what is being said on the tape is indeed so. And if it is so, then we come again to your morality as it relates to governance, because your modus operandi, where politicking is concerned, they say how you campaign is how you govern. And so if this was your method of campaigning, then it says a lot as to why the governance is the way it is.
All right, Senator, and we need to raise this next issue. Politics aside, with Franca going up for PNM and all those things. Before Franca was a candidate, Franca is a human being, and she's a young, aspiring youth.
Yeah.
And we are seeing differences in how this situation is being handled, because when Franca's video recording leaked, no one was questioning whether it was her. We didn't hear the end of it. The recording ran for about a good 2 weeks. It just kept popping up all over. But with this recording, we're just getting silence from people who promise to be and transparency. And Senator, it brings us to question now what really went on in that audio. Is the audio real? Is the audio made up? Is there sort of distrust within the Executive Council? So many questions are plaguing that audio, Senator. And
you see that's it. Is whether there are so many excuses coming out now. We're hearing the thing about is that AI. We're hearing all of these kind of, and all we're saying is that the population deserves clarity. Silence is not an option at this point in time, because the level of mistrust that can arise from that does not augur well for your term in office, does not augur well for your governance. And the way you see they badgered Franca with it, because it was in the height of the politics, and they saw it as an opportunity to beat her down to nothing. And those are the kinds of things we have to remember when we're dealing with individuals. We have to be mindful of people, all right? And now that the tables are turned, all we are getting are excuses. And I'm going to drill down on it, that the onus now is on the two individuals whose voices are on that recording to come clean to the population, say to the population, it's us. This is what we. Whether if you choose to apologize, that's up to you. But what we need is clarity. That's all we're asking for. We're asking you to say whether or not it was you. And if it is not you, then we need a serious investigation into the level of quality of artificial intelligence that we use in Tobago.
And Senator, I don't know if Dwayne, you have a question? All right, let's hand you over to Dwayne.
All right, Senator. Let's take it that the video is indeed the two representatives of the Executive Council. Is it novel because by now everybody heard the video, listened to the video. Is it novel for for political entities to strategize and to spread propaganda, because let's be real, the nature of our politics, and I'm certain that even the political party at which you represent now is also guilty of propaganda. Is it novel for what was heard as content in that video for political parties to strategize and so on? Tell us about that, please.
Let me say something very clear. The administration that is in office said to us that everything that the PNM was doing was bad and wrong and illegal. And the administration in office said to us, said to the entire population of Tobago, we are going to do things different.
Right.
And so if you are the current administration, your yardstick should not be the PNM, because you said that everything that the PNM was doing was wrong.
Right.
So I'm not even going down that road this morning, because the reality is you came into office saying that you are different. You came into office chastising us for being a particular way. So this excuse that the administration constantly is reverting to now, that, well, the PNM does do X, Y, Z, and the PNM, you said you would be different. You signed, what is it they call the
social contract.
The social contract. You signed the social contract, made a big hoorah about it on the platform. Commission of affidavit, everything you did, you said you would be different.
Right. And my follow-up question is, though, did the social contract entail this factor of propaganda? They're not spewing propaganda, because again, let's be real, the nature of our politics in the country is one of is antagonistic, is one of bacchanalia, and and we also have to be real that as unfortunate as it is, the PNM, the UNC, and all the political entities are guilty of the same thing. And you mentioned about morality and the possibility of an apology.
And Mr. Nuss, I'm going to drill down on it again.
Right.
I'm going to drill down on it again.
So
the PDP promised us different politics.
Right.
So you can't say that all the other parties are fine. If that's what you're saying, that's what you're saying. But you said you would be different.
Right. So I haven't yet finished phrasing the question. If you would allow me to. Right. Thank you very much. You're here representing a political entity who is, by no doubt, guilty of the same thing, right?
Guilty of what?
Propaganda. Let's be real. The UNC, everybody is guilty of it. It's unfortunate, and I'll be honest with you and say that I love politics not for what it is, but rather for what it should be, because I represent the youth in my side of the vineyard.
Right, if you
can I finish?
No, but it's an interview, Mr. Nuss.
Right. So my question is, do you think it's fair that if you two are guilty of the same thing, that you would point fingers, but who is right and who is wrong?
Right. So let's treat this. First and foremost, we're doing an interview, and so the questions ought to come to me very succinctly so that I can answer them. Right.
Well,
there's a lot of preamble that doesn't allow the time for me to respond, and then we're going to run out of time. The second thing is that you said to us this morning that the PNM is guilty. Now, if we're dealing with guilt and innocence, then there ought to be evidence. And so if you're going to ask me a question on guilt, then you need to provide the evidence of the PNM being guilty of propaganda. Right? What we have before us and what we've seen over the last day or two is evidence of, well, we have a recording, which is evidence of activities and plans taking place to do particular things. And all I'm saying to you is that the PDP, whatever the entity is now, said that their politics is going to be different. And all we're calling on the present administration to do, you are in the seat of governance now. All we are saying to you to do is to clear the air. Whether the recording is true or not, That's what we need to know.
And
Because you are in governance now. You are in power now. The PNM is not in power in Tobago. The UNC is not in power. What we are asking the governance, the entity that is in governance in Tobago, you need to clear the air. That's all we said.
okay.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Do we have any more questions before I?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Wow. Senator. So I want us to look at the supporters of, well, I don't know if to say the TPP or PDP, but basically the supporters of Chief Secretary Fali Augustine. We would have listened to some of their grievances yesterday, and some of their most vocal supporters would have lamented that all this time I was doing it for free. All this time I was defending Fali for free. All this time I was aiding in the, not setting propaganda. Let me not use that statement. All this time I was setting the narrative for free, only to find out that there were those who were given THA jobs, those given the 8 to 4. Do you think now that there's going to be some type of divide within the political space? Do you think that some people will go to the other side, some people will not vote, or simply some people would remain loyal to Fali and, Chief Secretary Fali and his executive members?
Again, that question is not for me. That question is not for me. That question is for the administration to treat with. They are the ones who have to now deal with this. I don't know who the supporters are. I don't know what arrangement they have, and so we're not gonna answer whether or not whether or not they are going to go to the other side of all I'm saying again, these people need to own up to what they did, and they need to come to the public and say that they are responsible for it.
Understood, Senator. And another point, because I'm trying to answer most of the questions that are happening in this space, so these views are probably views I would have heard from people on the ground. Another question that is raising is the legality of the spreading of the propaganda. Some people are asking why use public funds to employ people whose sole reason is to spread propaganda. Because we heard in the voice recording they would have said, you spread the propaganda, we give you the 8 to 4. That's basically the whole theme of the recording that we heard yesterday. Do you think that it was in fact illegal for the executive members to employ people to spread propaganda in exchange for an 8 to 4 under the Tobago House of Assembly?
Well, what I could tell you is that advice is being sought as to whether or not what transpired there is illegal. It is frightening that is what we have come to in Tobago, and so we are seeking advice, or advice is being sought with regards to whether or not that was illegal, and whether or not we have infringements on the Integrity in Public Life Act and all of those kinds of things. Because what you've done is used public funds in payment for political activities. And if that is the case, there is evidence of that, because that was the plan, or that is the plan. Because as you heard, one of the voices said we're not going to stop campaigning. So it seems as if that is going to be, or that is the modus operandi of the administration. If in truth the voices on the recording are the voices of persons in public life.
All right, Senator Dwayne, you have anything to ask?
Yeah, Senator, me again, how are you?
I am fine.
Right. My question to you is, I hear you on the fact that, it is frightening and it is, questionable and concerning that, people are being hired for 8 to 4, as the video might have said, or would have said, or highlighted, to spread propaganda, right? My question to you is it novel, or is it new? Did this administration usher in a new thing by hiring or talking or planning to hire persons to to help advance the political cause of the political entity that is the executive today? Is it new? And
Mr. Nurse, you're asking me the same question. You're asking me the same question in a
Right.
different format. Yeah, you're asking me the same question.
well, and perhaps it's because I didn't get an answer to the question.
No. But I think you should pose that question to the person who would answer that question for you.
Well. I want to explain that the question is relevant as you represent an entity, just like the one that you're criticizing now. And I think it's important that, given that we all understand that politicking is new, and propaganda is not new, right?
I don't want to seem too provocative this morning, Dwayne, but
Sure.
I'm hoping that you may not have been one of those who would have fallen in that line as well. But
What line is that?
no. But I think that question ought to be posed not to me, but to the persons whose voices were on the recording.
Okay.
That's all, because you asked me that question earlier, and you come back and you've asked me the same question, but in a different format.
Okay.
Right?
All right, Senator, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up this morning's interview?
Well, a couple of things. I don't want to seem as schoolmaster Laurence this morning, but when we came on this morning, I didn't correct it at the time, and I think that we need to correct it.
Okay.
That especially with you guys, young people in media, I think we ought to remember that our leaders are to be addressed in a particular way. Because I missed it earlier. I should have addressed it when it happened, but I recognize that we were referring to the Prime Minister as well. And I think being young in media, we ought not to follow precedents that have been set by older people who have clearly lost respect. I think we need to, in Tobago, I think we need to remember who we are. And we need to come back to that place where Tobago was known for being respectful, being mannerly, because what we have a lot in this space now is a lot of disrespect. And if it's one group of people that I believe have the ability to bring it back, is our young people.
Yes,
So I just want to encourage you guys to remember that. I also want to at this time extend condolences to all the families in Tobago who have lost loved ones, tragically and not so tragically, as well as one of our heroes, the family of Claude Noel, who would have passed as well. And I just want us in Tobago to remember who we are and to ask the questions of the persons who have offered themselves for public life and who are in public life and who are part of the government, to remember that they serve the people, and if questions are asked of them, it is their responsibility to answer and to clarify.
All right, Senator, and I think I need to apologize because I'm so used to the local vernacular. I think, I don't know, I can't remember, but I may have, addressed the Prime Minister incorrectly. So I really need to apologize because I'm so used to just talking, with your friends or talking with the people on the side of the road and by the shop, that's the way how we would address it. But, we have to be mindful, not allow local culture and practices to intercede when we're on platforms such as this. And I think Dwayne has something else to add. Dwayne?
Well, I just wanted to add, and thank you for the advice, Senator, Mr. Hislop. He is indeed our Prime Minister, and respect must be given to the person holding the office. Yeah. And I also want to thank you for coming this morning, and sharing and just engaging us young people. It's really good that you give us that kudos this morning, and I give you a lot of kudos for that.
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem. I'm happy to be part of the Tobago Updates morning shows, whether it is the youth show, and I seem to be a fixture on the youth program, and that's a good thing, because I've always liked young people and want to be there with young people. So guys, let's just continue to progress, and let's continue to get better from day to day, right?
All right, Senators, so I want to thank you once again for joining us here on our Youth Wednesday show. It's always an excellent discussion when you are here. So, viewers, once again, I am Luke Trim. That was the interview with Senator the Honorable Laurence Hislop as we discuss what's happening in the political space. So, viewers, we have reached the end of our morning show. Don't go anywhere yet. We still have much more to discuss coming up on Good Morning Tobago. So, we're going to be switching over to the lovely Candice Jackson. Yes, so viewers, yes, I just want to thank you all for joining us this morning. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back. So remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.